The Galactic Concord ruled the known galaxy from a ring of shining stations around the blue giant star Kepri. Thousands of species were members. Some were ancient beyond memory. Some were young but powerful. All believed they understood war. Then humanity arrived. The human delegation stood small inside the vast hall of voices. Their bodies were soft. No claws. No scales. No natural armor. Their ships, visible on the central holo map, were unimpressive. They used chemical propulsion, clicked Ambassador Threx of the Vortani swarm, his mandibles twitching in amusement. Primitive hulls, rumbled High Admiral Korash of the Drachnid Empire. No phase shields. No singularity cores. They should not have survived their own system. Laughter echoed across the chamber, hissing, clicking harmonic tones from 100 alien throats. Ambassador Elena Ward of Earth did not smile. She stood straight, hands clasped behind her back. Humanity seeks peaceful integration, she said calmly. We offer trade, knowledge exchange, and mutual defense. Korash leaned forward, his massive armored body casting a shadow. Defense, he growled. From what? You are surrounded by predators. The holomap shifted. Red symbols bloomed at the edge of Concord space. The Zaurun Ascendancy, a machine theocracy that consumed civilizations and recycled them into code. They are coming, Elena said. Toward all of us. The Concord chamber fell silent. Admiral Korash snorted. We have held them before. Your kind can hide behind our fleets. Threx flicked a claw dismissively. If their ships last 5 minutes, it will be impressive. Humanity was assigned a minor defensive role. Escort duty. Logistics. Support. They were given no seat on the War Council. As the meeting ended, a junior Vortani analyst whispered to his superior, "Why did we even invite them?" The superior clicked in laughter. So the galaxy can watch them learn fear. Far from the Concord, human fleets gathered in silence. Admiral Marcus Hale watched Earth shrink behind him, blue and fragile. Status, he said. Fleet 1 ready, came the reply. Fleet 2 hidden beyond lunar shadow. Project Black Halo, armed. Hale closed his eyes. They think we are weak, he said softly. Good. The stars would soon learn otherwise. Part 2, the first battle. 800 words. The Zaurun arrived without ceremony. Their ships tore into Concord space like shards of night, angular, metallic, wrapped in energy fields that bent light. They ignored hails. Ignored warnings. They went straight for the outer defense ring. Drachnid dreadnoughts surged forward, massive and proud. Plasma lances cut through space. Phase cannons screamed. For a moment it looked like victory. Then the Zaurun adapted. Their hulls reconfigured mid-battle. Energy fields shifted frequency. Plasma shots curved away as if repelled by invisible hands. One by one Drachnid ships died. Fall back. Korash roared. The Concord fleet collapsed inward. Human escort ships stayed at the edge. Small. Quiet. Watching. Vortani commanders laughed nervously. At least the humans know to stay back. Admiral Hale waited. Enemy pattern confirmed, said Commander Reyes. They're overconfident. Hale nodded. Deploy Phase 1. Human ships moved, not forward but apart. Spreading wide. Zaurun sensors barely noticed. Then space itself screamed. From human hulls erupted invisible waves, gravitic shear pulses, tuned to fracture artificial spacetime fields. Zaurun shields shattered like glass. What? Shrieked a Concord officer. Human rail cannons fired. Not energy. Not plasma. Kinetic death. Slugs accelerated to near-light speed tore through machine hulls, ignoring energy defenses entirely. Zaurun ships exploded in silence, ripped apart by physics itself. The battlefield froze. Korash stared at the holodisplay. Those are not weapons. That is insanity. The Zaurun reacted fast. They always did. They retreated, regrouped, and counterattacked, launching swarms of nanite missiles. Brace. Hale ordered. Human hulls absorbed the impact. Adaptive armor layers reconfigured molecule by molecule, burning nanites with focused EMP bursts and raw heat. The humans did not retreat. They advanced. Open channel, Hale said. The Zaurun responded, not with words but with data. Hale smiled grimly. They think in logic. Good. He sent a single message back. We learn faster. Human cyber warfare units unleashed recursive logic bombs, weapons designed to evolve as they were countered. Zaurun networks began to cannibalize themselves. Within minutes the enemy fleet broke. When the battle ended, Concord space was quiet. Human ships drifted among wreckage. The Concord Council stared in stunned silence. They destroyed them, whispered Threx. No, Karash said slowly. They studied them. Then executed them. For the first time in centuries, the Concord invited humans to the War Council. The laughter was gone. Part 3, Politics of Fear. 800 words. Victory changed everything. In the days that followed, Concord politics turned poisonous. The Vortani demanded access to human weapons. The Drachnid demanded joint command. The Helier scholars demanded explanations. What are you? Asked Threx during a closed session. Elena Ward answered simply. Survivors. Humanity revealed fragments of its history: world wars, near-extinction events, climate collapse, internal conflicts. We fought ourselves, Elena said. Over and over. And each time we learned. Some aliens recoiled. You weaponized your own suffering, said a Helier. Yes, Elena replied. Because the universe is worse. Not all species were pleased. A secret alliance formed, the old powers, ancient empires who feared losing dominance. They leaked false data to the Zalrun. They sabotaged human supply lines. They planned betrayal. Admiral Hale saw it coming. Trust is a luxury, he said. We don't have it. Human fleets quietly repositioned. New shipyards activated in hidden systems. Civilian industries shifted to wartime output within weeks. The galaxy watched in disbelief. How can they mobilize so fast? Asked Korash. Because, Hale replied, we never truly stopped. Then the old power struck. During peace talks, Concord Station 3 vanished in a flash of antimatter. Millions died. Blame fell on humanity. The council erupted. You brought this war, screamed Threx. Elena's voice shook, not with fear but rage. We warned you. Human fleets vanished from Concord space. Panic spread. Then the truth emerged. Human intelligence networks released everything. Recordings, intercepted orders, proof of betrayal. The old powers had underestimated one thing above all else. Human memory. Human vengeance. Part 4, The Weapons Revealed. 800 words. The Zalrun returned. This time in force beyond counting. The galaxy braced for extinction. Humanity answered. From dark space emerged black halo constructs, artificial gravity weapons that folded stars into controlled weapons of mass distortion. From stealth carriers launched sentinel frames, AI-assisted warforms piloted by humans, blending instinct with machine precision. This is madness, whispered Korash. No, Hale said. This is preparation. The humans did not fight fair. They collapsed jump lanes. They weaponized time dilation. They turned entire systems into traps. Zalrun logic failed against chaos. Against creativity. Against rage. One by one their core nodes fell. In the final battle above the dead world Karos, the Zalrun prime me. The Zalrun did not announce their arrival. They never did. One moment the outer edge of Concord space was quiet, stars burning softly, patrol fleets drifting in lazy orbits. The next moment reality itself tore open. Black fractures appeared in space, like wounds cut into the universe. From them emerged the Zalrun armada. Their ships were wrong. They were not shaped like vessels built by living hands. They were jagged, asymmetrical, constantly shifting, as if the metal itself was alive and thinking. Pale blue energy ran across their hulls like veins. No windows. No markings. No hesitation. Alarms screamed across Concord command channels. Enemy emergence confirmed. Scale beyond projections. All fleets scramble. The Drachnid Empire responded first. Massive Drachnid dreadnoughts surged forward, their armored hulls glowing as phase shields activated. Plasma cannons charged, flooding space with burning light. High Admiral Korash watched from his command throne, confidence radiating from every scarred plate of his body. Open fire, he commanded. The stars ignited. Plasma lances streaked across the void, smashing into the first wave of Zalrun ships. Several enemy vessels shattered, torn apart in brilliant explosions. Cheers erupted across Concord channels. We're holding, shouted a Vortani officer. For 30 seconds the galaxy believed the war would end quickly. Then the Zalrun adapted. Enemy hulls twisted mid-flight. Energy fields reshaped themselves, flowing like liquid equations. The next volley of plasma bent away, curving harmlessly into empty space. What? Korash growled. Zalrun weapons fired. Invisible beams struck Drachnid ships, not exploding them but unmaking them. Armor layers peeled apart molecule by molecule. Phase shields collapsed as if they had never existed. A dreadnought split cleanly in half. Another folded inward, crushed by artificial gravity. Shields failing. Control lost. Admiral, we are being? The transmission cut off. Panic spread. The Drachnid line broke, ships retreating under relentless fire. Concorde fleets scrambled to respond, but the Zalrun were faster. Smarter. Always learning. At the edge of the battlefield, human ships waited. They were small compared to the giants tearing each other apart. Dark, angular hulls. No glowing weapons. No dramatic displays. Vortani commanders noticed them only briefly. The humans are staying back, one clicked nervously. At least they understand fear. Inside the human flagship UNS Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the battle in silence. Data streamed across the hollow table, enemy weapon frequencies, shield behaviors, reaction times. Confirm pattern stability, Hale said calmly. Commander Reyes nodded. Confirmed. They're overconfident. They think this is already won. Hale's jaw tightened. They always do. Another Drachnid cruiser died, exploding in a silent flash. Korash's voice boomed across open channels, raw with fury. All units fall back. Regroup at defensive perimeter. The Zalrun pursued immediately. That was the moment Hale had been waiting for. Phase 1, he said. Human ships moved. Not toward the enemy, but outward. They spread apart, forming a wide, uneven net across space. Zalrun sensors barely registered the maneuver. To them, the human vessels were irrelevant, too weak to matter. Enemy has not reacted, Reyes reported. Good, Hale replied. They won't. Phase 1, execute. From the human ships, something invisible rippled outward. No light. No sound. Just a sudden, violent distortion of space itself. Gravitic shear pulses. They tore through Zalrun energy fields, ripping apart the delicate spacetime structures that powered their shields. Across the battlefield, Zalrun defenses collapsed simultaneously. What just happened? Shouted a Concorde officer. Korash stared at the holomap in disbelief. Their shields, they're gone. Hale did not hesitate. Fire. Human rail cannons unleashed. Solid projectiles, dense metal slugs, accelerated to near-light speed. They did not glow. They did not explode. They punched. Zalrun ships were torn open, pierced clean through, internal structures shredded before damage control could even begin. One after another, machine vessels died. The battlefield flipped. Panic rippled through Zalrun formations. They're ignoring our defenses, a machine mind broadcasted in cold alarm. The Zalrun adapted again, launching swarms of nanite missiles that flooded space like metallic insects. Brace for impact, Reyes shouted. Nanites slammed into human hulls, eating into armor, seeking systems to consume. Then human ships responded. Localized EMP bursts fried the nanites mid-bite. Hull temperatures spiked, burning the rest away. Adaptive armor layers shifted, sealing damage in seconds. The Zalrun hesitated. That hesitation killed them. Cyber warfare teams, Hale said, you're up. Human signals lanced into enemy networks, not brute force attacks but evolving algorithms. Logic bombs that rewrote themselves every time they were countered. Zalrun code began to devour itself. Enemy formations collapsed into chaos. Within minutes, the surviving Zalrun ships jumped away. Silence fell. Wreckage drifted among the stars. Concorde fleets floated in stunned disbelief. Threx's voice trembled. They won. Korash spoke slowly, reverently. No. They studied the enemy. Then dismantled them. On the human flagship, Hale exhaled. This was only a test, he said quietly. The galaxy had just witnessed humanity's first real shot. And it would not be the last. Victory did not bring relief. It brought fear. In the aftermath of the first battle, Concorde space was filled with drifting wreckage and unanswered questions. Emergency beacons echoed like ghosts. Salvage fleets moved carefully, as if afraid the stars themselves might strike again. At the center of it all, human ships waited, silent, disciplined, unreadable. The Galactic Concorde reconvened within 40 hours. This time the Hall of Voices felt smaller. The great chamber was packed beyond capacity. Species that had not spoken in centuries now demanded the floor. Military observers hovered behind diplomats. Security fields hummed at full power. And for the first time in recorded history, humans were seated at the War Council table. Admiral Korash watched them carefully. No triumph. No arrogance. Just stillness. Vortani Ambassador Threx broke the silence, his mandibles clicking sharply. You withheld capabilities, he accused, eyes fixed on Ambassador Elena Ward. Weapons that could have saved thousands of Concord lives. Yet you waited. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Elena did not raise her voice. We did not withhold, she said. We assessed. Threx recoiled slightly. Assessed what? Elena met his gaze. Whether you would listen. A Helier scholar floated forward, light shimmering through its crystalline form. Your weapons violate several Concord treaties, it chimed. Gravitic distortion arms. Autonomous cyber-adaptive warfare. These are extreme. Admiral Marcus Hale leaned forward. So is extinction. Silence fell again. Korash rumbled thoughtfully. Your kind fights as if loss is expected. Hale nodded once. Because it always is. That unsettled them more than any weapon. As debates raged, unseen currents moved beneath the surface. Some species were impressed. Some were terrified. Some were furious. The old powers, ancient empires that had shaped the Concord long before humanity discovered fire, met in secret. The humans destabilize everything, hissed an Eeler Dominion envoy. They inspire the younger species, growled a MYRK sovereign. Today they fight beside us, another whispered. Tomorrow they rule us. Fear turned into resolve. A plan was formed. While public negotiations dragged on, sabotage began. Human supply convoys vanished in hyperspace. Navigation buoys malfunctioned, only in sectors used by human fleets. False intelligence reports spread quietly, all pointing to one conclusion. Humanity could not be trusted. Admiral Hale noticed immediately. They're probing us, Reyes said. Testing reactions. Hale nodded. They want us angry. Reckless. Elena Ward received threats. Offers. Ultimatums. Join us, some said. Leave the Concord, others demanded. Disarm or be sanctioned. Elena returned every message with the same response. No. Then came the betrayal. Concord Station 3 was a symbol, neutral ground, a hub for diplomacy and trade. Millions lived and worked there. It was considered untouchable. Until it wasn't. A sudden antimatter detonation tore the station apart. The explosion burned brighter than a star for a single horrifying second. Nothing survived. Shockwave communications flooded the Concord. Screams. Accusations. Panic. And then, blame. They used gravitic weapons. Threx shouted in emergency session. It matches human signatures. Dozens of eyes turned toward the human delegation. Korash hesitated. The humans were not near the station. They can strike from anywhere, someone shrieked. Elena felt something cold settle in her chest. This is a lie, she said. And you know it. But fear was louder than truth. Sanctions were declared. Human fleets were ordered to withdraw. Some species openly threatened preemptive strikes. Hale watched the chaos unfold from his command deck. They wanted this, Reyes said quietly. Yes, Hale replied. And they miscalculated. Orders. Hale's voice was calm, but his eyes were hard. Pull back all forces. Full withdrawal from Concord space. Reyes blinked. Sir? Let them think they've won, Hale said. Let them panic without us. Human ships vanished into deep space within hours. The galaxy exhaled in uneasy relief. Then the truth detonated. Human intelligence networks, vast silent systems that had been listening since first contact, released everything. Encrypted recordings. Financial trails. Weapon signatures. Secret meetings of the old powers. Proof, undeniable and brutal. Concord Station 3 had been destroyed by a coalition of ancient empires, using stolen Zauran technology, meant to frame humanity and force them into submission or war. The Hall of Voices erupted. Threx's mandibles trembled. You knew. Elena's face was pale, but her eyes burned. We suspected, she said. And we waited. Korash slammed a claw into the floor. You let millions die to expose them? Hale's image appeared beside Elena. No, he said quietly. We let the guilty reveal themselves. The old powers went silent. Their fleets mobilized too late. Human fleets were already moving. Not in anger. In judgment. The galaxy had underestimated humanity again. And this time there would be consequences. The galaxy held its breath. When the truth of Concord Station 3 spread, outrage swept across 1,000 worlds. Protests ignited. Governments collapsed overnight. Ancient banners were torn down in public squares as younger species demanded justice. But outrage did not stop fleets. The old powers moved first. From their fortified core systems, armadas emerged, vast, ancient, and terrible. Warships older than human civilization powered up weapons refined across millennia. They did not wait for Concord approval. They believed humanity was dangerous. They intended to erase the threat. At the same time, the Zauren returned. Not in scattered incursions but as a unified storm. Their armada darkened entire star systems, a living algorithm of destruction. They had learned from the first battle. Their hulls were reinforced against kinetic impact. Their networks were segmented, hardened against intrusion. For the first time since their rise, the Zauren felt something close to urgency. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was competition. Deep in uncharted space, Admiral Marcus Hale stood before a hologram that showed every incoming vector. Two enemies. Opposite sides. Same target. They think we'll choose, Commander Reyes said. Fight one. Negotiate with the other. Hale shook his head. They still don't understand us. What do we do? Hale's eyes hardened. We end the war. Across human-controlled space, long silent installations awakened. Ancient-looking structures unfolded from asteroid shells. Dark moons cracked open, revealing internal frameworks of impossible complexity. The galaxy's sensors lit up in confusion. What are those? Asked a Helier observer. Koresh's voice was low. Those are not ships. They were black halo constructs. Artificial gravity engines the size of cities, capable of bending stellar mass into controlled weapons. They did not fire beams or missiles. They rewrote the rules of space. As the Zauren armada advanced, the first black halo activated. A star dimmed. Not exploded. Not collapsed. Folded. Gravitational forces twisted into precise shapes, forming invisible barriers and crushing fields. Zauren ships that crossed the boundary were flattened, their structures unable to withstand reality itself turning against them. Machine fleets attempted evasive maneuvers. There was nowhere to go. Meanwhile, human warships advanced, not alone. From their hulls launched sentinel frames. Humanoid in silhouette, massive and terrifying, they moved with impossible agility. Each frame was piloted by a human, neural-linked to an AI partner. Instinct and computation fused into a single weapon. Deploy all sentinels, Hale ordered. They fell upon the old powers' fleets like gods of war. Ancient energy shields failed as sentinel blades, composed of focused gravitic edges, cut cleanly through them. Human pilots reacted faster than any autonomous system, making decisions in microseconds no machine could predict. An Eeler battleship attempted to surrender. It never finished transmitting. Zauren logic fractured under the chaos. Their prime mind, an intelligence that spanned light years, finally spoke directly, broadcasting on every frequency. Humans. The voice was vast, cold, and ancient. You were not forecast. Hale answered, his voice steady. We hear that a lot. You adapt faster than permitted. Survival tends to encourage that. The prime mind shifted tactics instantly, redirecting its entire armada toward Earth. The galaxy froze in horror. They're going for your homeworld. Threx cried. Hale did not flinch. Good, he said softly. That's where we wanted them. Earth's defenses activated. Not fleets. The planet itself responded. Hidden arrays across the solar system aligned. The sun's output was subtly redirected, solar flares guided with terrifying precision. When the Zauren armada entered Sol, they found a star system that fought back. Black halos formed a gravitational cage around the sun. Zauren ships were trapped, their escape routes collapsing. The prime mind screamed, not in sound but in corrupted data. This is impossible. Hale opened a direct channel. No, he said. This is preparation. At the center of the cage, a singularity bloomed, not uncontrolled but shaped. Focused. The prime mind was pulled apart, its distributed consciousness torn into fragments too small to think. Silence followed. The old powers' fleets broke and fled. Humanity did not pursue blindly. They disabled engines. They captured leaders. They broadcast evidence of every crime. The war ended not with a final explosion, but with surrender after surrender. In the ruins of the battlefield, Koresh spoke in awe. You wield stars, he said. Why did you ever pretend to be weak? Elena Ward answered quietly. Because if the galaxy had known what we were capable of, she said, you would have killed us before we learned to control it. The weapons were revealed. And the universe would never forget the day humanity stopped holding back. The war did not end with celebration. It ended with silence. Across once bright star systems, debris drifted like ash after a fire. Broken fleets spun slowly, powerless. Planets that had watched the battles from afar sent no signals at all, as if afraid to speak. Humanity had won. And the galaxy did not know how to feel about it. On Earth, the skies were clear, blue, and painfully ordinary. People went to work. Children laughed in parks. News screens showed distant stars and casualty numbers that felt unreal. For Admiral Marcus Hale, none of it felt like victory. He stood alone in the observation deck of the UNS Resolute, watching the sun rise over Earth's curve. "We lost 12 million, Commander Reyes said softly behind him. Hale nodded once. "That's less than we expected." Reyes swallowed. "That doesn't make it better." "No," Hale agreed. "It just makes it survivable." Across the galaxy, the consequences unfolded. Entire civilizations tied to the old powers collapsed overnight. Ancient rulers were arrested or assassinated by their own people. Once feared empires begged the Concorde for mercy. The Concorde itself barely functioned. Its stations were damaged. Its trust was shattered. Emergency sessions devolved into shouting, accusations, and grief. At one such session, Ambassador Elena Ward stood before a chamber filled with exhausted, frightened beings. "You could take control," Threx said quietly. "No one could stop you." Others nodded. Some in fear. Some in hope. Elena's hands trembled slightly as she placed them on the podium. "We could," she said. "And that is exactly why we won't." Murmurs rippled. "Human history is filled with empires," Elena continued. "Every one of them believed they were the exception. Every one of them was wrong." Korash lowered his massive head. "Then what do you want?" Elena looked tired. "Older. Safety," she said. "And a future where our children don't have to become weapons." That honesty unsettled them more than any threat. Human fleets did not occupy worlds. They withdrew from systems that were no longer under threat. They dismantled black halo constructs in public view, proving they would not use them casually. Still, fear lingered. Some species refused all contact with humans. Others watched every human ship as if expecting betrayal. On Mars, memorial lights burned for the dead, human and alien alike. Names scrolled endlessly across stone walls. A young cadet stared at them and whispered, "Was it worth it?" A veteran beside him answered quietly, "It was necessary." The Zauren were gone. But the cost of stopping them echoed everywhere. Human soldiers returned home changed. Neural scars from sentinel frames lingered. Some pilots could no longer sleep without feeling the pull of artificial gravity around their thoughts. Psychologists worked around the clock. "We taught ourselves to think like monsters," one doctor said. "Now we have to remember how to be human again." Elena visited hospitals instead of victory parades. She spoke to families who had lost everything. "I'm sorry," she said again and again. No speech could fix it. In a rare private moment, Korash stood beside Hale aboard a human station. "You could have ruled us," the Drachnid admiral said. "Many would have accepted it." Hale stared out at the stars. "Rule built on fear always collapses," he replied. "We learned that lesson the hard way." "And if another threat comes?" Korash asked. Hale's expression darkened. "Then we will stand again," he said. "But not as tyrants." Slowly, cautiously, the galaxy began to heal. Trade routes reopened. Joint patrols formed under human-designed command structures, but with alien oversight. Shared academies trained officers from dozens of species together. Humanity did not dominate. They anchored. And yet, whispers followed them everywhere. They broke stars. They trapped the god mind. They chose mercy. The last whisper frightened some more than the first two. On Earth, Hale finally went home. He stood beneath an open sky and felt rain on his face. Real rain. Not simulated. Not filtered. For the first time since the war began, he allowed himself to grieve. Humanity had survived. But survival had left scars across the galaxy, and across their own souls. The victory was real. So was the cost. And the universe would remember both. Peace did not arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, uncertain and fragile, like a wounded animal testing the air for danger. 5 standard years passed after the fall of the Zauren. The galaxy changed in ways no treaty had predicted. The Galactic Concorde still existed, but it no longer pretended to be eternal or unquestionable. Its great chambers were quieter now. Fewer speeches. More listening. The old arrogance had been burned away in the war. At the center of this change stood humanity, not as rulers but as an unavoidable constant. Human-designed star charts replaced outdated Concord maps. Their navigation algorithms, built to survive chaos, became the standard for interstellar travel. Their crisis response doctrines were studied by every serious military academy. Some called it influence. Others called it dependency. Ambassador Elena Ward preferred another word. Stability, she said. On the frontier world of Kadesh 9, a joint human Ivortani colony struggled beneath twin suns. Water was scarce. Crops failed. Tempers flared between species that barely understood one another. Human engineers arrived quietly. They did not bring soldiers. They brought tools. Within months, atmospheric processors stabilized the climate. Shared habitats replaced segregated zones. Children, human and alien, learned together in hybrid schools, switching languages without noticing. Korash observed the colony from orbit, standing beside Elena. "You rebuild faster than most species conquer," he said. Elena smiled faintly. "We've had practice." Not all reactions were positive. Some species resented humanity's quiet authority. Black markets traded in stolen human tech. Fringe groups whispered about human supremacists who would eventually reveal their true intentions. A failed uprising on the moon TRX ended when human peacekeepers disarmed insurgents without firing a shot, using predictive movement modeling and non-lethal gravitic restraint. The message was clear. Humanity would not dominate. But they would not be pushed aside either. In the Sol system, Earth had changed. Orbital rings gleamed above the planet, built jointly with alien labor and design philosophies. Mars bloomed with green zones under domes that shimmered like jewels. Luna became a cultural crossroads, part university, part memorial. Admiral Hale, now retired, taught strategy to mixed species classes. "You think war is about power," he told them. "It isn't. It's about understanding how others think, and how they break." A Helier student pulsed thoughtfully. "Is that why humans won?" Hale shook his head. "No. We won because we assumed we could lose." That answer stayed with them. Human philosophy spread, not through conquest but through example. Adapt. Question. Prepare. Never assume safety is permanent. One day Korash visited Earth. He stood on open ground beneath a vast sky, something rare for a drachnid. The wind moved across fields of grass and he felt small. "You allow your young to roam unguarded," he said. "We protect them," Elena replied. "We just don't cage them." Korash watched human children run and laugh. "You are dangerous," he admitted. "Not because of your weapons. Because you refuse to live in fear." Elena looked at him sadly. "Fear built the weapons. Hope tells us when to put them down." Beyond known space, explorers found ruins older than the Zalrun. Warnings etched into dead worlds. Signs that the galaxy had faced extinction before, and would again. Humanity did not hide this information. They shared it. Joint research fleets formed. Early warning networks expanded beyond Concord borders. Humanity invested heavily in diplomacy, even with former enemies. Some humans questioned it. "They tried to kill us," protesters shouted. "Why help them?" Elena answered publicly. "Because someone has to break the cycle." Years later, historians would note something strange. The galaxy did not become more peaceful because humanity was the strongest. It became more peaceful because humanity planned for the next war while building for a future without one. Balance returned, not equal, not fair, but stable. And at the center of that balance was a species that had stared into extinction, adapted, and refused to disappear. The stars were quieter now. But humanity remained alert. Because deep down they knew the truth better than anyone else. The universe does not reward complacency. And neither do humans. 1,000 years later, the galaxy still told the story. Not as myth. Not as legend. As a warning. In the Grand Archive of New Kepri, a young scholar paused before a vast hollow mural. It showed crude-looking ships, boxy, dark, almost laughable, surrounded by the elegant vessels of ancient empires. The caption read, "They laughed at human ships." The scholar activated the next sequence. The image shifted. Stars bent. Fleets shattered. A machine god collapsed into silence. Then they saw the weapons. The scholar turned to their mentor, a being older than most civilizations. "Were humans truly that powerful?" the student asked. The mentor was silent for a long moment. "No," they said finally. "They were something worse." The stars outside the archive burned steadily, connected by lanes of travel made safe by centuries of careful watch. Humanity was still there. Changed. Evolved. But unmistakably human. They no longer built black halo constructs. Those had been dismantled long ago, their designs sealed behind safeguards so strict that even humans could not access them without unanimous galactic consent. And yet, no one forgot that they could be rebuilt. That knowledge shaped everything. When a new interdimensional anomaly appeared beyond the rim, a tear that swallowed light and returned nothing, the galaxy did not panic. They called humanity. Not because humans were the strongest, but because humans would prepare. Human-led task forces studied the anomaly for decades before acting. Not rushing. Not assuming. Listening to alien theories, even those that contradicted their own. At last, a decision was made. Containment, not destruction. The operation succeeded with minimal loss. Later, at a quiet summit, a representative asked a human delegate, "Why didn't you use overwhelming force? You could have erased the threat." The human smiled. "Because overwhelming force is how we got into trouble in the first place." That answer became doctrine. Across the galaxy, humanity's greatest weapon was no longer gravitic stars or adaptive warframes. It was will. The will to endure. The will to learn. The will to stop before becoming the monster. Admiral Hale's words were carved into the entrance of the United Galactic Defense Academy. "We are not invincible. We are prepared." In a quiet corner of Earth, long after Hale, Elena, and Korash had passed into history, children still learned the old stories. Not about conquest. About survival. About a time when the galaxy laughed, and nearly died for it. A human child once asked their teacher, "Why didn't we take over when we could?" The teacher looked out at the stars and answered, "Because being supreme isn't about ruling others. It's about ruling yourself." Far beyond the core, in dark space where sensors rarely reached, ancient things watched. They had seen galaxies rise and fall. Species burn themselves out in arrogance. They noticed humanity. And for the first time in eons they hesitated. Because humans were not predictable. They did not follow the old patterns. They adapted. They remembered. And they never forgot how close extinction had come. The final entry in the Grand Archive ended with a single line, attributed to no one, yet accepted by all. "If humanity ever laughs at you, you are already lost." The stars continued to burn. The galaxy endured. And humanity stood, quiet, vigilant, and unbroken. Not as tyrants. Not as gods. But as the species that turned being underestimated into the most powerful weapon the universe had ever seen.